You Uber?
I am.
Not allowed to come in this town.
What do you mean?
It's against the law for you to be picking up cars in this town. $500 fine first time, $1,000 second time.
Appreciate it.
Uber.
I'm sorry?
You can't operate in a town. You're an Uber driver. You know what you're going to do. You know the rules.
I was under the understanding that Uber is in conversation with the city council to get compliance.
We're just going to call you. People operate in town. Uber is not allowed to operate in town.
What if I continue to operate?
You'll be summoned.
Okay.
Whatever Uber has to straighten out, you gotta straighten out. You guys are more than welcome to come in town and do whatever you gotta do. But I got taxi drivers coming up on me.
I understand you're in a bad position. I understand.
Alright, bud. Just giving you that warning. The sergeant is out. Everybody's aware. It's a big issue right now.
I understand.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, man.
No worries.
Picking them up anyway.
That's right.
Good call, man. Stand up to it.
Happily. How's it going?
Oh, we're doing.
Are they coming? Wait for your $500 ticket, please.
No, he just came and went. But I appreciate your help enforcing the laws of Portsmouth.
Dude,
How much do they pay you?
Sucks.
Tell me what exactly is going on in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, that Uber, which apparently was functioning peacefully there, suddenly is not allowed to function.
Sure. So the City Council of Portsmouth, for a number of months, has been negotiating a new transportation ordinance, kind of stimulated by complaints of the local taxi drivers who were complaining that Uber, which had just recently come to town, I guess at the end of 2014, that Uber didn't have to play by the same rules, that we didn't have to get the same kind of commercial insurance that they did. We didn't have to pay the, whatever the tariff demanded by the city in order to operate in Portsmouth. And so the city council looked at this, and over a number of months, they crafted what they thought was an ordinance that would create a level playing field for all parties involved and, allow Uber to operate in Portsmouth legally. So part of the conversations was they talked with, one of the Uber had a lobbyist that talked with them about that, and they held some public hearings, and I went to the public hearings and just kind of said, hey, look, I just moved recently to Portsmouth from Northern California. I sold my car initially. I really want this as an option because some of the headlines coming out were that early on in the process, Uber said that if the conversations continued as they were with the initial draft of the ordinance that got put together, that Uber would have to pull out of Portsmouth. So it's been this whole kind of brinksmanship about whether or not this ordinance was too tough for Uber to stick around, or what would Uber be willing to put up with, and a big real waste of Uber's time over the 6-month period, and waste of the time of a lot of people who showed up at the meetings and argued and such. Well, they passed this ordinance in July. It went into effect. Let me think. About a week from yesterday. About 8 days ago. And the ordinance calls for certain things that Uber has said specifically violate its business model. One of the biggest hangups is that the city has demanded that all background checks need to be certified by the chief of police. So every background check that Uber does has to go through the local police department. One of the problems with that is that there's some statute where basically any information passing through a public institution like a police department can be, I don't know if there's like a local equivalent of the Freedom of Information Act, but basically someone could get their hands on that driver data. So asking Uber to disclose their driver data in order to operate in Portsmouth is the equivalent of asking Coca-Cola to disclose their secret recipe of Coke in order to be sold in Portsmouth. It's insane to ask them of that. They can't do it. They've said they can't do it. And so Uber, as well as other ride sharers, Uber is really the only ride share that's actively courting the Portsmouth market. So we say Uber is illegal, but really all ride sharers are illegal because they have not stepped through the multiple bureaucratic hoops that this new ordinance has put up. But Uber, to their credit, they've communicated nothing to me as a driver that said that they'd be pulling out of Portsmouth. Theoretically, some negotiations are still ongoing. I don't know exactly what behind the scenes conversations Uber is still having with the city council, but I know from reading the Portsmouth Herald, our local newspaper here, that on the eve of this new ordinance going into effect, Uber still had these major hangups with it, and they had these changes that they were requesting, and the city has been kind of ignoring those requests or not, budging from what they want. So, Uber has kept the app online, so drivers can kind of make the choice about whether to continue driving or to kind of, whether they want to move their operations from Portsmouth to Durham. UNH is right next door, so some drivers have kind of just migrated over to there. But there's a few of us who've said, no, we're going to keep driving in Portsmouth anyway, partly to satisfy the demand because there's a lot of people in Portsmouth looking for rides. I, until recently, had been driving. When I drove, I would drive down to Boston because I'd make more money driving in Boston. But specifically because of this ordinance, I'm now driving exclusively in Portsmouth, partly because, I feel like a message needs to be sent to these people that the free market, needs to continue. It can continue. It must continue regardless of whether they give us a permission slip or not.